Hey third grade, it's week 3 of your remote learning packet. It's week 28 of your daily morning work for math. We are gonna start off by doing Monday, talking about area again. Keeping in mind that area equals length times width. So not only is this an area problem, but it's also multiplication. So let's dig in. First we've got, this year the area of Mrs. Odell's garden is 72 square feet. Last year, she had 2 small gardens that each measured 18 square feet. How many times larger is this year's garden than last year's gardens combined? So if we're looking at our cubes helper on the side, C stands for what numbers can I work with? So our first number is this year's garden is 72 square feet. So this year equals 72. And last year she had 2 gardens that she combined that measured 18 square feet. So last year, we're gonna take our 18 and we're gonna multiply it by 2 because there's 2 of them. So 18 times 2, 8 times 2 is 16, carry the 1, 2 times 1 is 2, and then there's that 1 we have to add, so 2 plus 1 is 3, so we got 36. Now the U, what am I supposed to solve here? I think, we're gonna underline the question. What am I supposed to solve? So how many times larger is this year's garden than last year's garden combined? Now for this, we're not gonna subtract like normal. When we talk about comparing numbers, usually we put the bigger number on top and just subtract. But this question says how many times larger. So we need to compare these numbers based on what number they have in common. And so if we're gonna do a multiplication problem for 72 and 36, in my mind, if I know my multiplication tables, I know that they can both be multiplied or divided by 9. So I'm gonna put that problem here to the side. 8 times 9 equals 72. And 4 times 9 equals 36. Now when I'm looking at this, the 9s are the same, and the 8 and the 4 is what I'm going to be comparing, where they say how many times larger is this year's gardens than last year's garden. So 8 and 4, I'm going to ask myself, how do I get to 8 using that 4? If I know my multiplication tables, 4 times 2 equals 8, which means that this year's garden, the 72, is 2 times larger than last year's garden combined. You can pause the video to go back and look at this problem. I'm going to move on to Tuesday. Miss Odell has 8 different vegetables to plant in her garden. She wants to divide her garden into 8 squares. Each square should be the same size. Help Miss Odell divide her garden into 8 squares. What is the measurement of each side of the squares? Okay, so we have her garden. It's 6 feet on the side and 12 feet across. Question 1, what numbers can I work with? 8 different vegetables that she wants to plant. We're gonna need them to be 8 squares total. We've got 6 feet over here, 12 feet over here. Those are the numbers that we're gonna work with. What am I supposed to solve? The question says, divide her garden into 8 squares. And then the question, there's kind of 2 parts. We have to divide it, and then we have to look at the divided squares and ask, what is the measurement of each side of the squares? So let's do that. If I want to divide this into 8 squares and they all need to be equal, I could do it 2 ways. I could just put 8 boxes here. If I'm gonna do 8 boxes, I know that I only need to draw 7 lines. But I'm gonna try to make them a little bit more easier to work with. I know that if I make 4 squares on the top row, I can make 4 squares on the bottom row. That would be 8. Or I could do, I could flip it the other way and put the line here and put 4 on this side, 4 on this side. I'm gonna go with my first idea. I'm gonna draw a line down the middle. right now we've got 8 divided by 2, because there's 2 sections, which is gonna leave 4. So in order to get 4 boxes on the top and 4 on the bottom, I only have to draw 3 lines, 1 down the middle, 1 on the right, 1 on the left. Okay. When I do that, for the 6, instead of having 6 feet here, I just cut it in half. So 6 divided by 2 gives me 3, because 2 times 3 equals 6. And then at the top, 12, I just divided the 12 by, how many squares do you see on the top? 1, 2, 3, 4. That also gives me 3, which means that each square is 3 by 3. 3 on the width, 3 on the length, 3 on the width, 3 on the length, width, length, 3 by 3. Okay. You can pause the video for this. I'm going to go on to Wednesday. Miss Odell wants to plant 8 different kinds of vegetables in her garden. She wants 8 plants of each kind. Write a number sentence using addition that Miss Odell can use to find the total number of plants she will have in her garden. Write another number sentence that she can use, this time using multiplication. So we're doing repeated addition and we're doing multiplication. Something that I did not read the first time that I'm reading the second time, it says she wants 8 plants of each kind. So does she want any plant to be repeating? No. So she wants 8 different kinds. If we're going to do 8 different kinds, there's only one way that we can do this repeated addition. So repeated addition. Okay. 1 plant. That's not like the others. Then we're going to add another plant, and 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 another plant. Is that 8? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yes. Okay. There's our repeated addition. Now let's turn that into multiplication. How many 1s did we have? 8. And what number did we add over and over again? 1. 8 times 1 is 8, or you could write it and flip-flop it. So 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And 1 times 8 equals 8. Okay. We use repeated addition and we use multiplication. Each plant is going to be different in her garden, 8 plants, and we can do that with multiplication. Okay, last but not least, Thursday. Sally, Mrs. Odell's daughter, pulled weeds in the garden. Sally worked from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. She took half an hour off for lunch and 2 15-minute breaks. How much time did Sally spend pulling weeds? Now, the first thing I want to focus on is how much time she took off. We can figure out her total in a second, but let's figure out how much time we're going to have to subtract at the end. She took off half an hour for lunch and 2 15-minute breaks. If we know what half an hour is, half of 60 is 30. So she took off 30 minutes for lunch, and then 15 plus 15, because she took 2 15-minute breaks. That's another 30 for her breaks. What's 30 plus 30? 60. So she took off 1 hour for her various breaks and lunch and stuff like that. Okay, now I'm going to draw our timeline to see how many hours she worked. We're ending at 2, we're starting at 8. So she worked all of 8, we gotta go to 9. All of 9, gotta go to 10, 11, 12, this is not gonna be not gonna look pretty because it's not even, and 1 to get to 2. She didn't work the 2 o'clock hour, she stopped at 2. Okay, so she worked 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 hours. But we have to take off her 1 hour of break. So 6 minus 1 equals her working for 5 hours pulling weeds. There you go.